Welcome to all. I am Dr. Dharmendra, Assistant Professor of Botany. In this session, we are going to study the histology topics. In this session, we are going to study about the meristematic tissue. Under meristematic tissue, structure and function of meristematic tissue, classification of meristematic tissue based on origin, function, and position. Before entering the session, we will just recall the previous session topic, that is definition of tissues. So what is a tissue? Tissue is a group of cells that have common origin performing the same function. And organization of tissues in plants. Tissues are organized in all the parts of the plants. And types of tissues. Generally, the tissues are classified into three types, that is meristematic tissue, permanent tissue, and secretory tissue. In this class, we will going to study about the meristematic tissue. Then what is the learning objective? Studying of meristematic tissue, structure and function. That is meristematic tissue's general characteristic features, structure of the tissue and function of the tissue. Then studying of different types of meristematic tissue based on origin, function and position. These are the two learning objectives. So at the end of the session, you will get the knowledge of distribution, nature and characteristics of meristematic tissue and their function in plants. And also you will get the knowledge of classification of meristems based on origin, function and position. So, lesson objectives and session outcomes. Coming to the introductory part of meristematic tissue. Before entering into the general characteristic feature, we will see the definition of meristematic tissue. What is meristematic tissue? Meristematic tissue, it is a group of young and undifferentiated cells possessing active cell division property. It is a group of young cells, it is a group of undifferentiated cells. The cells are younger in nature and undifferentiated, that means primitive, or the younger in stage, embryonic in stage. So the cells are younger and undifferentiated. And all the cells, they have the capacity of division. So all the cells, they are undergoing the active cell division. So finally, we can say meristem is a group of young and undifferentiated cells possessing the property of active cell division. Okay. Then the word meristem is derived from the Greek word, that is what we call meristos. So meristos, it is a Greek word. From this Greek word, the word meristem is derived. So meristos means it is divisible. Meristos means what? It is divisible. Then the word meristem, it was introduced by Carl von Nageli. So Carl von Nageli is one of the famous plant anatomists. So he contributed very much to the field of plant anatomy. So Carl von Nageli in 1858 introduced the term meristem to the science field. Then we will see the general characters of meristems. So meristems are usually called as formative tissue. What is formative tissue? So the name itself indicates the tissue which is involved in the formation of plant body. So that is what we call formative tissue. That means the meristems, they have the property of division. By this division, the meristems add the new cells to the plant body. The cells become tissues. So it gives the shape to the plant body. That's why the meristem is called formative tissue. That means it is a formative. It involves in the formation of tissues or organs, whatever it may be. Okay. Then the second character here, the meristem is present at growing points. So it indicates that because it is a formative tissue, so the meristems are present at growing points of the plant body. What are the growing points here? Shoot, a tip and root tip, they are the growing points. Shoot apical meristem and root apical meristem we are saying. So root tip and shoot tip, they shows the meristematic tissue and also the tip of branches. So you can see the meristematic tissue. Then the nature of the cells, you can see here, the meristematic tissue, it is composed of immature, undifferentiated and embryonic cells. Meristematic tissue is composed of immature, it is immature cells, immature tissue or immature tissue, and the cells are undifferentiated. That means the tissue is not differentiated into to perform a function. So the tissue is, the cells are small, immature, undifferentiated and embryonic in nature. So the cells are primitive type of cells. That means immature cells. They are not differentiated. They are not mature cells. Okay. So differentiated means immature. Then the cells are isodiametric in nature. So the shape of the cells are isodiametric. Isodiametric, that means that varies in different shapes. Oval in shape, spherical in shape, polygonal in shape or rectangular in shape. Okay. And the cells are compactly arranged without intercellular spaces. So the cells are isodiametric, they are compactly arranged without intercellular spaces. Then the meristematic cells, they have the cell wall. Then cell wall encloses a dense cytoplasm and a prominent nucleus is present. In cytoplasm, we can see the cytoplasm is very dense in nature, and the pseudovacuoles and chloroplastids, they are also present in the cytoplasm. So in the cytoplasm, a single prominent nucleus is present. Okay, these are the few general characters of meristems. Meristem is also called formative tissue because it involved in the formation of tissues. Then these meristems, they are present at growing point. Then meristems are composed of immature, undifferentiated and embryonic cells. Then the cells are isodiametric. The shape varies considerably from oval or polygonal or rectangular, whatever it may be. And the cells are compactly arranged without intercellular spaces. And the cells, they are made up of a cell wall, cellulosic in nature, and this cell wall encloses the dense cytoplasm. Cytoplasm consists a single prominent nucleus, and also cytoplasm is denser in nature due to the accumulation of pseudovacuoles and the proplastids and large amount of cytoplasmic contents. Okay, then we'll jump on to the another topic, that is classification of meristems. So meristems, that means meristematic tissue, is classified into three groups. The classification is mainly based on three criteria. What are those three criteria? The first criteria is nothing but classification based on origin of the cells. The second criteria is classification based on the function of the tissue. Third criteria is nothing but the classification based on the position. That means locality of the meristems. So we'll discuss one by one. Here classification, the first one is meristematic tissue, classification of meristems based on origin. So based on origin, we have three groups of meristems. What are those? Promeristem, primary meristem and secondary meristem. So what is, we will discuss one by one. What is a promeristem? The word itself indicates it is a pro in nature, that is embryonic meristem. So the promeristem means it is a group of meristematic cells originated from embryonic cells and representing the earliest or youngest stage of growing organ. So pro indicates that it is a primitive, it is the earlier. So promeristem means it is a group of meristematic cells originated from the embryonic cells and representing the earliest or youngest stage of growing organ. This is the promeristem, which gives rise to primary meristem. Okay. So the second one, what we call primary meristem. Primary meristem means these primary meristem is derived from the promeristematic cells. That means promeristematic cells undergoes division and that gives rise to primary meristem. So this primary meristem, it retains the division property throughout the life of plant body. So throughout the life of plant body, the plants undergoes division and that is present in the primary meristem. Okay, the cells of primary meristem undergoes rapid division and gives rise to the primary permanent tissues. So these primary permanent tissue which make up the fundamental structure of the plant body. So primary meristem is responsible for the fundamental shape and structure of the plant body. So by this we can say primary meristem is a group of cells originated from the promeristem. So these primary meristem, the cells of primary meristem undergoes division and it retains the division property throughout the life of plant body. So by this the primary meristem gives rise to the fundamental organs of the plant body. Then the third type of meristem based on origin is secondary meristem. The word itself indicates it is secondary in nature. That means these meristem originate from the permanent tissue, or these meristem is originate from the differentiated cells, okay, during the course of plant growth. When the plant attains certain age or certain period of growth appears, then plants, the permanent cells that revert back to meristematic state. So these meristems what we call secondary meristem. So secondary meristem, it is a meristem originated during the course of plant development, and this meristem it is originated from the primary permanent tissues. Why this meristem is originated? Secondary meristem is originated to increase the girth of the plant body. It is the responsible meristem for the addition of secondary tissues to the plant body. Secondary tissues are very important for mechanical support and other purposes. So the examples for secondary meristem is a cambium is an example for secondary meristem, cork cambium or intravesicular cambium, like that. Then what are the examples for this primary meristem? It is nothing but epiphysis of stem, root, vascular meristem, all these things. So these things, primary meristems. Then the second criteria, classification of meristems based on function. So here it is mainly based on the function. And this classification is given by Haberland in 1890. So Haberland in 1890, he classified the meristems on the basis of function mainly. And according to him, he believed that the primary meristem is always located at the tip of plant body, that is at the shoot tip and at the root tip. Okay. So Haberland classified the meristems into three groups based on the function. They are protoderm, procambium. Look at here, protoderm, procambium and ground meristem. We'll discuss one by one. Protoderm. The word again, the name itself indicates protoderm. Proto means what? Primary or primitive. So protoderm means it is the outermost layer. Derma means layer. So it is the primary layer. The name itself indicates it is the outermost layer of meristematic tissue, and this layer in future differentiated into or developed into epidermis or epidermal tissue system. Okay. So protoderm, it is the outermost layer which later differentiated into epidermal tissue systems. Then The second one, that is procambium. And the word itself again it indicates it is nothing but a procambium, that is primitive or pro means what? Primary cambium tissue. It is composed of narrow elongated parenchyma cells present at the center of primary meristem. So procambium is composed of narrow elongated parenchymatous cells present at the center of the primary meristem. This procambium which gives rise to primary vascular bundles. Okay, that is procambium. The third one, that is what we call ground meristem. It is a massive permanent tissue or massive parenchyma tissue present between protoderm and procambium. So that means this ground meristem is composed of thin-walled parenchymatous cells, and this ground meristem which gives rise to cortex, hypodermis, endodermis, pericycle, etc. So this gives rise to ground tissue system. So according to this Haberland, protoderm which developed into epidermal tissue system, procambium which developed into vascular tissue system, and ground meristem which developed into ground tissue system. Then the third classification is mainly based on the position of the tissues. That means position of meristematic tissue. The classification based on position of tissues. So based on the position, again we have three types of tissues, that is apical meristem, intercalary meristem and lateral meristem. So apical meristem, again the word itself indicates that meristems which is present at the apices of the plant body. That means it is their meristems are present at the tip of the plant body. That is either shoot tip or root tip. So the meristem which is present at the shoot tip, it is called shoot apical meristem. The meristem which is present at the root tip, it is called root apical meristem. And also the meristems, they are located at the branches of root and stem. Okay. So they are what we call apical meristems. So apical meristems, they are composed of number of cells, that means initial cells. Those initial cells are called apical cells or apical initials. Okay. So apical meristem composed of meristematic cells, they are situated at the tip. So these tip cells, they are responsible for the growth of the plant body. So these tip cells, what we call apical cells, are apical initials. So the number of apical cells varies from species to species. Then the second type of meristem based on the position is intercalary meristem. So intercalary means it is a short-lived meristem and it is present between the masses of permanent tissue. That is the word intercalary. So the meristem which is present between the masses of permanent tissue, that meristems what I call intercalary meristems. Intercalary meristems are present between the masses of permanent tissues. So these intercalary meristems are nothing but the detached portion of apical meristems. So detached portion of apical meristems. Why they are detached from the apical meristem? Because above the intercalary meristem, what is the tissues present that undergoes differentiation. When the tissue undergoes differentiation, so the part of meristematic tissue that remains below the differentiated one. So that is that tissue what we call intercalary meristem. And this intercalary meristem is short-lived meristems. So why it is short-lived? Because it is present between the masses of permanent tissue. So this meristem that disappears, or it is converted into primary permanent tissue. So intercalary meristems are usually present at the base of leaf or internode and leaf sheaths like this. Okay. Then the third type of meristem is a lateral meristem. Again, it indicates the meristem lies in a lateral position. So lateral position, they are lie parallel to the slides, parallel to the side of plant body. They are what we call lateral meristems. So lateral in position. Example for lateral position is cambium tissue. So cambium, which lies parallel to the axis. So this cambium undergoes periclinal division and it results in the addition of secondary tissues. By these, lateral meristems are responsible for the increase in the girth of the plant body. So lateral meristems are nothing but the secondary meristems. Okay. So lateral meristems, they are present in the lateral position. So they undergoes the division, periclinal division. They are adding the secondary tissues. By this, they increase the size of the plant body. So examples for lateral meristem is cork cambium, phellogen, etc. and etc. Okay. So next, in this class, the summary. We will summarize the session. So in this session, you got an idea of the definition of the meristematic tissue and the general characteristic features of meristematic tissue. So where do you find the meristematic tissue? What is meristematic tissue? And the types of meristematic tissue based on different criteria. What are the criteria here? Yeah, it is nothing but origin, function and position. So based on the origin, it is classified into promeristem, primary meristem and secondary meristem. Based on the position, it is classified into protoderm, procambium and ground meristem. Based on the position, it is classified into apical meristem, intercalary meristem and lateral meristems. Okay. Now these are a few references for your further study. So we will recall the session by asking some questions. So the first question here is, meristem is a group of option A, young and undifferentiated cells. Again option B, mature and differentiated cells. Option C, embryonic undifferentiated cells. Option D, cells lost division property. These are the options. So then what will be the answer? Meristem, we already know the definition. It is a group of young and undifferentiated cells. That is the correct answer. The next question. The word meristos means. So meristos is a Greek word. So and from this word, the word meristem is derived. Okay. The word meristos means what? Option A, immature. Option C, differentiated. Option C, divisible. Option D, formation. What will be the answer? Yes, it means divisible. That is option C, divisible. Then third question, permanent tissues are originated from. See the question. Permanent tissues are originated from which meristem? That is the question. From option A, promeristem. Option B, ground meristem. Option C, protoderm. Option D, primary meristem. So what is the answer? Permanent tissues. Yes, the answer is primary meristem. Option D, which gives rise to permanent tissues. Then vascular tissues. Vascular tissues are derived from. So which meristem produces primary vascular tissues? Promeristem, option A. Option B, procambium. Option C, protoderm. Option D, primary meristem. So again the answer here is option B, procambium. So procambium, that is the responsible for the production of primary vascular tissues. Then cambium is an example for which type of meristem? So cambium is an example for option A, primary meristem, option B, secondary meristem, option C, lateral meristem, and option D, both B and C. That means both secondary meristem and lateral meristem. What will be the answer? You are correct. The answer is option D, both B and C. Cambium is an example for secondary meristem and also it is an example for lateral meristem. Thank you. By this we know about the primary meristematic